The boardroom blazed under fluorescent lights, their sterile glow bouncing off polished mahogany and steel. Tension pressed down as sharp words cut through the air. He's just an air conditioning repairman. What's he doing sitting here? Laughter erupted across the table, cold and derisive. The man in worn work clothes lifted his head. His eyes, steady, unflinching, swept the room. He didn't shout back. He didn't cower either. Slowly, he set a scratched ballpoint pen on the polished surface. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Careful with your words. The laughter faltered. A heavy silence spread across the room, broken only by the faint hum of the newly repaired cooling unit. At the head of the table, a young woman in a striking red business dress clutched a sealed file folder. Her fingers trembled as if holding something more dangerous than paper. She inhaled deeply, then slid a nail beneath the seal. The sound of rustling papers filled the silence, and in an instant, the entire room shot to its feet in shock. Hours earlier, on the same day, Mark Hale wiped sweat from his forehead as he packed up his toolbox. Another day, another broken air conditioner. At 35, his hands were rough from years of labor, but his mind, once sharpened by law books, remained unyielding. Hidden among his tools was a single object of true value, an old ballpoint pen, scratched, faded, but priceless. His father's last gift before the accident. "Dad, are you done yet?" 7-year-old Emma bounced on her toes beside him, her pink backpack sliding off her shoulder. Almost sweetheart. Mark smiled, checking his watch. 4:30 p.m. If they hurried, Emma could still make it to her tutoring session in the building's education center. They stood inside the towering Lane Group Tower, 40 floors of marble, glass, and power. Mark had been called in on a rush job to fix the executive boardroom's cooling system before an important shareholder meeting. Emma tugged at his sleeve. "Can I wait upstairs while you finish?" Mrs. Chun said tutoring doesn't start until 5. Mark hesitated. The building's rules were strict about children near work areas, but Emma was well-behaved, and he only needed a few minutes more. "Okay," he said gently, "but you have to sit quietly and not touch anything." Her face lit up. Together, they rode the elevator to the 40th floor. Emma gasped at the breathtaking skyline stretching beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Mark guided her to a leather chair outside the boardroom. "Wait here. I'll be right back." Inside, Mark worked quickly. The unit was ancient, long overdue for replacement, but he managed to coax life back into it. Just as he tightened the final connection, voices echoed from the hallway. The meeting attendees were arriving. Early, Mark packed his tools hastily, but when he stepped out, his stomach lurched. Emma was gone. "Emma?" Panic surged. Then he heard her voice from inside the boardroom. "Wow, this table is huge." Mark rushed in, finding Emma standing wide-eyed beside the imposing mahogany table. Before he could speak, a man in an expensive suit entered from the opposite door. "Excuse me," the man snapped. "This area is for shareholders only, not for working people and their children." Heat rose in Mark's chest. He steadied his voice. "I'm sorry. She's my daughter. We'll leave now." "Good. Use the service elevator." Emma tugged at his shirt. "Dad, what's a shareholder?" "Someone who owns part of a company. Honey." More people filed in, men in tailored suits, women with designer handbags. Their eyes swept over Mark and Emma with thinly veiled disdain, as if their very presence tarnished the air. "How did maintenance staff end up in here?" One woman scoffed. "Security's getting sloppy." Another added with a chuckle, "This space is for decision-makers, not repair technicians." A third sneered. Emma's small hand slipped into her father's. "Dad," she whispered, "justice means not letting people laugh at others, right?" "That's what you taught me." Mark's throat tightened. On the table, he spotted his father's pen, forgotten in his haste. He reached for it, the chatter around him growing louder, harsher. "Seriously, how did they even get up here?" "Someone should call security." Mark's fingers closed around the pen. He looked at his daughter's trusting face, then at the room full of people who dismissed them as less than human. Slowly, he set the pen back on the polished surface. "Careful with your words." The mocking voices fell silent. For the first time, The executives truly looked at him, and at that moment, Mark realized this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was the beginning of something much larger. Sophia Lane's heels clicked against marble as she approached the boardroom. At 27, with her striking features and keen intellect, she should have commanded respect. Instead, the board dismissed her as nothing more than a young heiress, decorative but powerless. In her arms, she clutched a sealed manila folder. It had been locked in her father's safe for 3 years, alongside his final instructions. Open this only when our family's honor is trampled once again. You'll know the moment when it comes. Her chest tightened. That moment felt close. Inside the boardroom, voices dripped with condescension. "Sophia, dear," said Margaret Walsh, the silver-haired matriarch who controlled the largest block of shares after Sophia. "We need to discuss your situation." "My situation?" Sophia asked coolly. "Your inexperience. Your age. The board agrees you're not ready for real responsibility." Sophia's grip tightened on the folder. Her father's voice echoed in memory. Wait for the right moment. Then commotion broke out near the entrance. Sophia turned, spotting the repair technician she'd seen work in the past week. He stood awkwardly with a young girl at his side. "This area is for shareholders only," Margaret snapped. "Not for working people and their children." The contempt in her tone was all too familiar, the same way she dismissed Sophia in meetings. The mockery grew sharper. "How did maintenance get in here? This is for decision makers, not repair technicians." Sophia's stomach turned. But then she saw the man's face, calm, dignified, unbroken, and the way his daughter whispered something to him before he set down that old ballpoint pen. "Careful with your words." Something in his voice stopped her cold. It reminded her of her father, and in that instant, Sophia understood. The moment her father had spoken of had finally arrived. The boardroom air thickened after Mark's quiet words. Executives shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between him and his daughter, and the pen resting like a challenge on polished mahogany. Sophia Lane drew in a steadying breath. Her pulse thundered, but her father's words steadied her. Wait for the right moment. This was it. She walked to the head of the table, her red dress swaying with purpose, and laid the sealed manila folder before her. "What is that?" Margaret Walsh's voice cracked the silence. Sophia's hands trembled only once before she broke the seal. She slid the documents free, the faint scent of her father's study clinging to the pages. The rustle of unfolding paper drew every gaze. Then Sophia's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "This," she said, "is my father's final directive, and it changes everything." The first sheet bore the Lane family crest and her father's unmistakable signature. Gasps rippled through the room. Margaret's face drained of color. Impossible. That document was destroyed. "No," Sophia said, her eyes blazing. "My father left it with me, waiting for this moment." She handed copies down the table. Words leapt from the page. Succession rights, ownership clauses, silent partnerships. The revelation was staggering. Mark Hale was no mere repairman. Years earlier, Sophia's father had quietly invested in a venture belonging to Mark's late father. When tragedy struck, the investment converted into equity. Equity Mark had inherited without ever knowing. In short, Mark was a shareholder. Not just any shareholder. One with enough voting power, combined with Sophia's, to shift control of the Lane Group forever. The room erupted. "This can't be right. Forgery." Check the seal. But the seal was genuine. The signature undeniable. The legal weight crushing. Sophia turned toward Mark. His expression was unreadable, stunned but steady. Emma clutched his hand, eyes wide, sensing the gravity even if she didn't fully understand. "Mr. Hale," Sophia said with deliberate respect, "you are not just a guest here. You are a rightful shareholder of this company." The words detonated in the room. Mark blinked. "Me? I fix air conditioners." "Your father didn't just fix things," Sophia replied. "He built them, and my father trusted him more than anyone in this room. That trust now extends to you." The old guard bristled. "This is outrageous. He doesn't belong here." Mark's hand tightened protectively on Emma's shoulder. His voice calm but resonant, cut through the noise. You said the same thing when I walked in with my daughter. You mocked us, dismissed us, but now the papers say otherwise. I don't care for your titles or your wealth. What I do care about is the example I set for her. He looked down at Emma, who beamed up at him, pride shining in her eyes. Justice, he continued softly, means not letting people laugh at others, even when they think they're above you. Silence fell, deeper than before. Sophia straightened, her voice clear and commanding. Effective immediately, I am exercising my rights as majority shareholder, together with Mr. Hale, to restructure this board. Those who mocked, who undermined, who thought their power untouchable. Your time is over. Margaret's face flushed scarlet. You wouldn't dare. I already have, Sophia interrupted coldly. The documents are binding. Your shares no longer control this company. Mark Hale and I do. For a long moment, no one moved. Then slowly, one by one, the executives sank back into their seats, fury simmering but powerless. Mark remained standing, his daughter's hand still in his. He didn't revel in their defeat, nor did he boast. He simply nodded once, as though confirming what he already knew. Doing the right thing had brought him here, no matter how unlikely the path. Sophia turned to him, her expression softening. Thank you, she said quietly, for reminding this room and me that dignity doesn't come from titles. It comes from choices. Mark met her gaze. I didn't come here looking for power, just to fix a broken machine. He glanced around the table. But maybe there are bigger things that need fixing. Sophia's lips curved in the faintest smile. Then let's fix them. Together. That evening, when Mark and Emma finally stepped out of the tower, the city lights gleamed against the night sky. Emma skipped to his side, clutching his hand tight. Daddy, she whispered, were you scared? Mark looked down at her, his heart swelling. A little, but you were with me, and I remember what I told you about justice. That kept me strong. Emma grinned. I'm proud of you. He bent to kiss the top of her head. I'm proud of us. As they walked away, Sophia watched from the glass windows high above. For the first time since her father's passing, the Lane Group felt steady again, not because of contracts or shareholders, but because someone with true integrity now stood at its side. And in the quiet of her heart, she knew her father had been right. When the moment came, the right ally would appear. That ally had arrived, in the form of a single dad with rough hands, a weathered pen, and unshakable dignity.